So what's up everybody, Black Clover 337 translations are out. This chapter was good. I really like having the pages translated. You get a better feel to everything, the spoilers. You get a general sense of the chapter, but you don't get the actual feels to it because you see the dynamic of 𝚤𝚗 and the Black Bulls more. Also, I was told in the comments that Yami's childhood friend might actually be Odin. So let's get into my Black Clover 337 review. First of all, if you like anime, manga reviews, discussion, spoilers, and theories, definitely hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, Switch hit me with some false copyright strikes. So let's get this channel back to 5,000. Check out the Discord. So the beginning of this chapter, you basically see Magna and Luck, and they're fighting against each other. You see them going back and forth, and you see Ghost talking about his little sister's letter. And then it looks like Charmy's telling everybody to calm down. Charmy in this chapter was mentioned a lot. I wonder if Tabata's trying to hint us that Charmy's race, the dwarves, have something to do with Yami's homeland. And because I said that Yami's friend might have something to do with Odin, it could tie that back with all the hints that Tabata kept dropping in this chapter. 𝚤𝚗 tells everybody to be quiet. Gray's like, hey, the vice captain told us to be quiet. Magna, being who he is, literally said that 𝚤𝚗 is a disgrace to the Black Bulls. And I really like that because Magna has always been somebody that doesn't really follow leadership. You have to prove to him that you are worthy of your title. I mean, he's a rebel, basically. He likes to be rebellious. He's a ruffian, you know, he's from the streets. So him in authority doesn't go well. And I really like that this chapter, his dialogue between 𝚤𝚗 still stayed with his character, and 𝚤𝚗 basically tells the whole entire situation as to what happened with Asta. 𝚤𝚗's always that person that just has that smile at the wrong moments. I'm glad that he still kept that personality of him when talking to other people, where he has this like fake smile, but it's kind of reminiscence to his brother Morgan. Character-wise, I still like how Tabata handles the Black Bulls and their interaction. The reaction of the Black Bulls further touches that because even though it seems logically that Asta is dead, they don't want to admit it. They have a gut feeling that Asta is still alive out there. Even if it looks dire and it looks like he disappeared to another dimension or looks like he was just turned into nothingness by Sister Lily's attack, they still have faith in him. They still believe that he's out there. And that's the type of bond and the type of friendship that is hard to find in the real world. The Black Bulls is literally what made a lot of us fall in love with Black Clover. So I hope each individual Black Bulls member gets their moment to shine. Something's telling me they are, because after all this, everybody's saying that Asta is still alive. They believe he's still out there. The Black Bulls are going to search for Asta. So it makes me wonder how they're going to figure out where Asta is. What type of clue will give them an idea as to where they're at? Will Asta be able to communicate with the Black Bulls and let them know, hey, I'm fine, I'm alive? I said this before, but some of you guys are telling me otherwise. Is that I still think that there's a connection of communication with the Land of the Rising Sun and the Clover Kingdom, because I said before, even though people were saying in the comments that apparently Yami got his sword made and it was told in the captain's meeting, but I remember in the story it said that Yami got his sword from Julius when he was learning how to do dark magic. Julius apparently got it from Hino country, which is the Land of the Rising Sun, from what I remember. So there's probably a communication with the Land of the Rising Sun and the Clover Kingdom. So I think it's best for them to be updated in a certain way. I mean, we've seen that kingdoms can communicate with each other through magic. We saw that in the last arc where the people in the Heart Kingdom were communicating with the people in the Clover Kingdom when they got informed that the Dark Triad kidnapped Yami and William Vengeance. So it's clear that there's probably some type of communication between nations, just that I wonder if it was only Julius that had the control of that. So if Julius had the control of that, that means that Lucius was the only person to be able to contact the Land of the Rising Sun. If that's true, and it was Julius/Lucius controlling the line of communication to Hino country, it would make sense why Yami was never able to phone back home. It was because Lucius made it clear that, hey, I'm not gonna let Yami leave and contact his friends and family back home, because clearly Lucius wants Yami for his plan to open up the Tree of Qliphoth. So I think the only person that was able to actually have any line of communication with Hino country country was Julius. That's my opinion. Magna and Lut look completely devastated, saying, hey, if he actually died on his own, I would not forgive him. All the Black Bulls agree they're gonna look for Asta. Like I said before in the predictions, I think the dwarves are actually in the land of the rising sun, because if the Black Bulls are going to look for Asta, then that means that there's a possibility that Charmy is gonna end up in the Hino country. I wonder where Yami's at right now. I know he was just probably at the meeting and everybody's trying to figure out exactly what happened to Asta, but still, Yami should have been around. Like, is Yami gonna start looking for Asta as well, or are the captains preparing themselves to this day of judgment, as Lucius calls it? It's interesting because it kind of mirrors the last arc, how they had a couple of days to get strong, and Not tells the Black Bulls, hey, we're going out here, if you guys want to go as well, get strong. In the last arc, it's kind of similar, but now it's showing the growth Not has with the Black Bulls. You know, before he used to think of them as annoying, but they proved themselves in the last arc that the Black Bulls members are something else. So to see Not say, hey, let's go look for Asta, and he brings the Black Bulls with him, it's a big character development moment for Not. I mean, I love Black Clover's character developments and how the characters are. That's something that Tabata does well. Asta wakes up. There's a little doll that's trying to serve Asta tea, from what it looks like. Asta mentions, is this Charmy? Which I said before, this is like a hint that Charmy is going to be in Hino country, in the land of the rising sun. I still think dwarves are there, because this doll really does look like Charmy, and it's probably the same height as Charmy as well. So knowing what's going on with Yami's childhood friend, that he has like an eye patch over one of his eye, to me is a little sus, because like I said at the beginning of the video, I think Asta just met the Black Clover version of Odin. Bear with me. And when you guys point this out in the comments, shout out to you. Yami childhood friend Ryua, I think that's how you pronounce his name, his eye patch is covering his eye, but his eye apparently lets him see what's going on, which is similar to Odin's power with Odin's missing eye. Odin in Norse mythology, he's often shown with an eye patch on either side, but most of the time is his right eye. Ryua's, or Yami's childhood friend, has an eye patch on his right eye. The reason why Odin sacrifices eyes so that he can have wisdom and knowledge to things that are hidden to him. It's weird how Ryua, Yami's childhood friend, knows so much about Asta. He knows a lot of things because of his eye. His eye lets him know that Asta, if he were to go back, it's not going to look good for him. He's going to lose. To me, this is all really sus. This is like kind of basically Tabata letting us know, hey, the land of the rising sun has something to do with Norse mythology. I kind of wish that the Vikings and samurais got together in real life, but hey, if it happens in Black Clover, man, it would be so epic. Asta mentions Charmy twice, and like I said before, I think Asta is going to have his new sword be created in the land of the rising sun. Yes, he has Yami's sword already, but I think he's gonna have another sword that's an upgrade to it, or maybe another weapon, but it's probably gonna be the dwarves in the land of the rising sun that created for him. And because Ryua is the shogun of Hino country, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets somebody to create a new weapon for Asta. So apparently Ryua knows what devils are. He's actually healing 𝙬𝚘𝚏. Also remember that there's two other paladins that Lucius has on his side, so I wonder if any of the paladins are from the land of the rising sun. And again, Asta mentioned Charmy. I'm telling you, Tabata is basically hinting really hard that dwarves are nearby, because how are you going to mention Charmy 3 times and have this person that has similar properties to Odin? Dwarves and Odin are in the same mythology. So Asta finds out that Ryua is Yami's childhood friend. Apparently Yami was always on the toilet. What I noticed about this is that there's 2 swords behind Ryua. I wonder if Ryua is able to use 2 swords. Maybe his training with Asta will help Asta to perfect using 2 swords. I'm pretty sure Asta is well adept with just using 1, obviously. He's pretty decent using 2, but I wonder if Ryua will help Asta perfect not only using 1 sword, but using 2 swords. I'm gonna laugh if Asta ends up having like 3 swords like Zoro, but I still want to see Asta being able to use all swords at the same time and do that telepathic ability that 𝙬𝚘𝚏 did with all the swords. So it'll be very interesting to see Asta being able to use all swords at once, plus his training with Ryua in the land of the rising sun. I wonder if all that skills Asta can apply it when he's using the telepathic ability. I'm just so excited as to what's going to happen with Black Clover moving forward. Asta realized, oh, he lost track of time and he needs to go back to where he's at. Ryua assures him, hey, you're not in good shape. Even if you're able to go back, it's going to take you longer. You just got your heart broken. You either got killed by the person you love, the person that you view viewed as your goal wanted to kill you. I wonder if the woman that's there with Asta Ryua is going to help Asta train. Who's actually going to be Asta's master? Is it going to be Ryua? Is it going to be somebody else? And I wonder if this woman is a key master as well. But clearly, she is the Shogun's subordinate. I don't know if that's his wife. I don't know what's the relationship with them. I can't wait to see Asta training ki plus swordsmanship. And like I said before, I really would like if ki is able to be used as a source of energy to weaponize it. I know I'm stretching, but I think the people of the land of the rising sun have their own power system that's not similar to the Clover Kingdom. I wonder what is their power. Are they only able to use swordsmanship? So far, we haven't seen any grimoires. We haven't seen anybody using magic. I know it's too early. And you see the land of the rising sun. It's basically what we expected. It's Black Clover's version of Japan. I said this before. I knew it was going to be Japan, and it seemed like it was going to be in the isolation period because mangas love covering that time. So this isolation is probably why not many people outside of the land of the rising sun know too much of this country. I'm pretty sure they know the country exists. They know it's out there. They know that there's people out there, but I'm pretty sure not many people have actually been there. And yes, it's most likely very far away, but still, this is going to be during the time of Japan's isolation. I wouldn't be surprised because they're so isolated. They don't use magic. They use ki. They use other sources of power. I can't wait. That's basically all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about this chapter. Do you like that Asta ended up being in the land of the rising sun? Do you think that the land of the rising sun is where the dwarves are at? Or do you think the dwarves are somewhere still in the continent of the Clover Kingdom? Do you think Asta is going to train with that woman, or do you think Asta is going to train with Ryua? Do you think Ryua is possibly the Odin of Black Clover? Him knowing so much and talking about his eye lets him know about all these things is very similar to Odin, a little too similar. And because Charmy was mentioned 3 times by Asta in the land of the rising sun, I think this might be an actual foreshadow. Do you think Tabata's trying to hint us here, or do you think it's nothing? Like if you liked the video, comment, subscribe, and I'm out of here.